won't that go online? I wonder what the problem is. Oh, hey, there we are. Hey, everybody, what's up? I'm sorry I'm late. I'm not sure what was going on there. What? Yeah. So, hey, hope everybody's having a good day. Yeah. Oh, good. You see and hear me. Good. I'm glad. I don't know what was going on there. How in the heck is everyone doing? Wow, you guys been tearing up the comments here tonight. Hey, Marcia Bowman, his first comment tonight. Joe, Marcia, glad to have you guys. Eric Gurman says, just got back from a great walk at the lake. Was close getting the famous blizzard. So did you have one or not, Eric? And I want to know your comments. So, hey, Jan. Hi, Mike and Miriam. Hey, Teresa, and hi, Jess Mack. Hey, Dave and Amy. Joyce Koenig is here. There, that way we know the party can start. Scott Moran, Jan and I tag teamed home. Made chicken fajitas. Nice. Let's see here. P&P chicken. I don't know what P&P chicken is. But Jan apparently thinks that's fun, so that's cool. Let's see here. Hi, Linda Horn. Oh, so okay. Joyce went fishing today. Did you catch anything, Joyce? Yes, it was nice outside, Miriam. And hi, birds. We're glad Tina and Mike are here. Chicken sounds good. Beautiful breeze at the lake tonight. Absolutely. Hey, Amy. Oh, so you had the Wonder Woman cookie collision blizzard. All right. I didn't lose too much respect for you over that, but that's okay. Have you all seen Gal Gadot? She's the Wonder Woman. I wonder how much ice cream she eats. I'm going with probably not much. Joyce, have you driven through our covered bridge at night? All right. Who else we got here? Hey, Suze. Amy has a full belly. That's a good thing at this point of the night. Hi, Crystal and Bill. Hey, Margie and Doug. Hey, Ange. Hey, Daryl. Pulled pork and macaroni. Okay. All right. Hi, Trina. Yeah. Yeah, I was having technical difficulties. I even wrote it here, and apparently I was not having as much difficulty as I thought. So I see a bunch of telling me I was online. I didn't know. My computer was doing something weird. So Eric is going to have one tomorrow. Well, we will look for a full report on that tomorrow, Eric. Hi, Cheryl. Pantry Pride is P&P chicken. Okay, very good. And hey, Val Cisco, glad you're here tonight. Okay, I read the chapter for tonight. I'm a little concerned about tonight's topic. For those of you who have the book, you can see what the title is. The title is When You Believe in God, but Pursue Happiness at Any Cost. Okay? The problem, the thing I'm a little concerned about with tonight is this chapter was so straightforward that I had a tough time as I was reading it finding discussion points. Because pretty much I could just sit here and read the entire chapter out loud and just say, okay, do that. And that's kind of what we need. It's a pretty straightforward chapter. Maybe we'll be able to come up with some discussion points, and I'm sure we'll be able to do that. But I thought this was a very well written, very well presented, very well done. Me saying, I just kept going, yep, as I was reading, because I, present company excluded, of course, but I see so many people who struggle with the exact issues they see in here. This idea that I have to be happy to be fulfilled. I mean, I'm 45 years old, friends. I've come to the point in my life that I don't even think about being happy. I don't even worry about it. I'm happy or I'm not happy, because, sometimes things are going great and I feel like crap, and other times my whole life is falling apart and I feel pretty good about it. So feelings are so fake, so fleeting. So I mean, they're intense. I'll definitely give you that, but I just find that happiness as a motivator, or happiness as a goal, or happiness as a point in life, I find that to be amazingly unfulfilling. And we're going to talk about we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. So Val went to Portland, Indiana. What was the name of the Mexican restaurant you went to? My original student pastor parish back in like 97 to 99, or no, it was 98 to 2000. I served in Fort Recovery, which obviously is right across the Ohio line from Portland. And while we were there, a Banditos opened in Portland. That was like the big thing. Everybody and their brother went over to that Banditos, and I'm curious if it's even there anymore. So there's a difference between happiness and joy. Yeah, there probably is. But I would still put them both under the category of emotion. And guys, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a cyborg. I don't mean to be an unfeeling, uncaring person that how I often come across. I don't mean to be that way. But emotions are such untrustworthy things. That, again, as I'm now I'm very quickly turning into a cantankerous old man. I totally own that. In fact, I'm looking forward to it, because I've enjoyed being cantankerous my whole life. And now I'm almost old enough to say you can just deal with it because I'm old. And so I'm getting there in a hurry. And I just find that everybody's thinking, this doesn't make me happy, or this is what I want to do, or I just want to say, oh my word, your life has all the depth of a puddle, and that's what just concerns me. And this chapter, I think, addresses what I'm talking about exceedingly well. We talked about isn't love and emotion too, and God is all about love, so why not happiness? That is true. Parents, and I always get nervous when I start talking about parents, because I'm not one. So what I say is, when it comes to love, everybody loves their kids, but how much of a priority do you make their happiness? How much sleep do you lose over the fact that your kids say that you aren't fair? I can remember growing up, my dad, who's probably one of the most hilarious people I know, he would always, whenever I'd go down the whole "you're not being fair" thing that everybody goes down, Dad would be, "Good, I'm glad you're paying attention." Never bothered him much. So that's kind of how it is. We love our kids, but they're unhappy with us, and we don't care at all. And if you do care, you're doing it wrong. Because your goal as a parent is not to make those kids happy. It is not to make sure the life is fair. It is to make sure they grow up to be productive adults. That's it. And we have seriously lost that somewhere along the way. But we still love them. And we don't want bad things to happen to them to make them sad. However, if they are upset, or we have to do something to them to make them upset, or they're engaged in behaviors that we're not going to tolerate, and that makes them upset, we don't care as parents. I shouldn't say we. You don't care as parents. So get as upset as you want. Thank you for noticing what a great job I'm doing as a parent. There you go. So that's what I say. Worldly happiness is based on feelings. Happy joy in the Lord is based on faith. Yeah, the distinction he draws in this chapter, Teresa, I know he's using different words than you, but it's the same concept. it's about he draws a distinction between being happy and being blessed. Those two things are not together. Oh, that Bandito's in Portland closed. Dang, man, 20 years ago, that was the place to go. That was such a big deal when that place opened. You couldn't even get a seat in there for nothing. Sorry, ADD moment. But Tina, my good point. Touche. All right, very good. So I especially need people in our culture to understand that when you make happiness your goal, that is such an unfulfilling goal in life. It's one of those things that the more you work toward it, the more effectively you're going to miss it. And that's, that's why I think, emotions and feelings and stuff, God gave them to us for a reason. I get all that. But I would say to make anything based on an emotion be the thing you live your life around, you're doing it wrong. Because emotions and reality don't always fit together. Emotions and what's good for you don't always fit together. In fact, I'd almost say they almost never do. Because, which one am I happier with? Am I happier with, am I happier with, a salad? Or am I happier with a frosted animal cracker blizzard from Dairy Queen? Well, of course, it's that frosted animal cracker blizzard from Dairy Queen. Makes me super happy, and then it makes me sick. I mean, that salad, I'm choking that thing down. I know it's better for me, but I hate it. So that emotion, I'm just warning you to be real careful with them, because I've seen a lot of people wreck their lives. I mean, lots of people. I've seen lots of people wreck their lives over feelings. And my friends, I love you very much, as I say all the time, and I don't want you guys wrecking your life over something, over a target you're never going to hit. Happy or unhappy, it is what it is, All right, and I'm going to flesh some of that out as we go through this. We're going to see how tonight goes. Since this chapter is kind of shorter and it's a little more straightforward than some of the others, we might get through this tonight. We'll just kind of see what happens or how much ADD Tim has tonight. So, okay. He opens up this chapter with what I'm going to refer to as required reading for everyone on planet Earth. If you don't read the rest of anything else I tell you to, I want you to go get this book, get chapter 9, and just read the first page. That's it. If you want an insight into how this guy here lives his life and how people deal with me, this first opening illustration that he gives is just dead on, right to the heart of the matter. If you want to know how difficult it is to be a pastor, and let me, I use the word difficult. I don't know if I mean that word. It's frustrating, I guess I would say. He uses an example of a movie I've never seen. Some movie called Wedding Crashers. I've never seen it. I don't know anything about it. I assume it's about people who crash weddings. Just go by the title on that one. But there were these two ladies, girls, women. I don't know what the politically correct term for that is anymore. Were excited, and they were getting ready to leave, and said they were going to see a movie. This Wedding Crashers. Is that even the name of it? Am I even saying the right name? Yes, Wedding Crashers. And they were going to see it again because they thought it was so hilarious, which good for them. I have never seen it, so I have no idea. And so they're talking about, hey, we're going to go see this thing, and then there's that moment that he describes here, and I'm on page 163. He says, suddenly they remembered that Craig is not their regular friend. Craig is their pastor friend. I see this light bulb come on in people's head all the freaking time. All the time. This light come on with people. And how, and he goes on to talk about, well, look, and again, I've never seen the movie. I don't know nothing about it. Okay. I've never seen it. I can't speak to it. So I know nothing about it. I'm only going by what Craig said. So if you love the movie, I'm so very happy for you. If you don't like the movie, I'm sorry. Or if you're like me and never even heard of it, that's fine too. So I'm not speaking anything about it because I've not seen it and I don't know a single thing about it. But what he's talking about here is they thought, well, I don't know if that's something a pastor would want to go see. And he's like, what? Why would I not want to go? I mean, what's the deal? And apparently it's rated R for, some kind of crude, whatever. Again, if that's your thing and that's something you can handle, go for it. I'm not the movie police. And the only reason I've not seen it is I generally don't watch comedies because I don't think Hollywood's funny. I'm trying to think the last movie I watched that I laughed a lot at. See who's jumping here, help me out. Have we seen a movie lately that I thought was funny? Because I don't remember. No, it's fine. I don't try to defend the movie. I've never seen it. I'm only going by what he said and their reaction to it. And this idea that, well, if it's something that you're worried that I as a pastor would go and see, because I've seen a few rated R movies in my time. If that's something you're worried about me going to see, then why are you going to see it? That's all he said. Again, I'm not making any value judgment because I don't know nothing about it. UHF. Oh my gosh. You guys seen UHF? That old Weird Al Yankovic movie? Oh my word, that movie cracks me up. It's about Weird Al Yankovic taking over a cable station. Holy crap, is that movie funny? I don't know. It's very creative. Yeah. But okay. So I have seen a movie recently that did make me laugh. But anyway, so what they're saying is about, what his point is if you don't think I should go see it, then why are you going to see it? Again, I'm not saying nothing. You want to go see some kind of R-rated movie, whatever. That's on you. I don't care. I've seen R-rated movies, okay. So let's hear this straight from Craig. Let's flip over to page 164. I'm in the paragraph that starts with, that's probably true, but that's not really the point. That's the paragraph I'm in. The very last sentence there says, is it just me or is it odd for someone to believe that viewing a movie could be wrong for me because of my profession, but completely acceptable to other Christians just because they don't preach on weekends? Oh my word. That is an interesting thing. It speaks to the pedestal that some people put people like me on. And I have to admit, I have not run into that as much here in St. Mary's. Thank you, God, and thank you, all of you. Because previous churches I have served definitely had that. And I'm telling you, that is a pedestal I do not want to stand on. I don't belong on, for one thing. But that's what these ladies did here is, they thought, well, this is something we can go do. I'm just not so sure that the holy guy here should go do it. And that kind of double standard, and we all have double standards, and he makes reference to that as well. But that's something that we run into all the time. That's why that's why I call Joyce Koenig the party animal and not myself, because Joyce gets away with a lot of this craziness, and not so much me. And y'all prefer it from Joyce anyways, because she's way more fun than I am, and y'all already know that. So actually, the reason I wanted to point this out to you is I just want to say thank you. Wayne Street has been so welcoming to Tim the guy, Tim the person, where other churches have had absolutely, positively zero tolerance of that. I mean, perhaps even less than zero tolerance. And it's been very nice to be so accepted here at Wayne Street. It's just been absolutely wonderful. Been here 2 years, and I've never lasted 2 years without somebody wanting to shoot me in the head over some kind of bad thing. So just appreciate your tolerance of Tim the person, because look, everybody loves Pastor Tim. That guy's, I've never seen a guy better in the crisis than that, but Tim, that Tim also goes home, and he's just a normal guy, and I'm glad that you guys allow for that. So now, one of the things that thank you, Tina and Mike, and Joyce. I don't know why, Joyce. I just have this urge tonight to throw you under the bus on a few things. I don't even know why, just because it's fun, and that may not work out so well. So, at least not for you. It's going to work out great for me. But yeah, well, Val, that's true. I mean, I know every church claims that, but that non-judgmental thing, I honestly have had a great experience with that here, of not having that here. So, and thank you, Eric. And I'll have to come over and watch Seinfeld, or what was that show we watched when I came to your house a while back? It was I can't remember if it was Seinfeld or what it was. It was something on TV we were watching. And yeah, Joyce, very good. I appreciate you too. And I appreciate the jam that you made me for Christmas. I meant to tell you that. I had some on my toast the other day. I'm still eating it. It's really good. Oh, Trina, many people have found plenty of reason to not like me. That's never been an issue for people. Yes, we are all human. That's true. So Everybody Loves Raymond. That's what it was. The funniest sitcom on TV is Everybody Loves Raymond. I can watch those old episodes and still laugh. So, all right. Appreciate you guys. All right. I wasn't. Thank you, everyone. I wasn't fishing for compliments for that, but doesn't mean you have to stop. But that was not what I was looking for. I just was very taken in by this because he's talking about he's using that example to dovetail into a discussion on Tim the man's mind just went completely blank. He's dovetailing into a discussion on happiness and how my definition of what makes me feel fulfilled and what drives my life is going to be different than yours, and that's a good thing. And that's what he's talking about here. But when we start putting parameters on that, that especially when we're trying to enforce those parameters on other people, that could become a problem. Angel food cake. Joyce Canning ordered me an angel food cake. Oh, now I feel bad about the party comment. Not real bad, but kind of bad. I do love me some angel food cake. I haven't had angel food cake in a long time. All right, my word. You guys are not helping me here. Yeah, squirrel. All right, I got to get back on track here. But that's what we're talking about is everybody has a pursuit of happiness. I mean, that's right in the Constitution. And everybody's allowed to go out and do whatever that is. Doesn't guarantee you'll make it, but you're allowed to have the pursuit. And that's what we're all looking for, because that pursuit of happiness, and that's what the next section here is that that's what everyone is allowed to have. So now, when he goes in the next section, I'm on page 165 if you're with me in the book. He says, while it's true that God wants to bless you and he has great plans for you, which I completely, totally believe, and I know everybody's with me on that one. We venture into extremely dangerous territory when we start to believe that God's ultimate plan for us is our happiness. My friends, I take great pride in every church I serve, and Wayne Street is no different, of teaching you Bible, whether it be through studies like this on Sunday morning. I believe the only purpose of my talking to you professionally is to help you interpret Scripture. I take that deadly seriously and work very hard at that. So I presented a number of characters to you. I presented you characters on Sunday morning. I presented you characters here in this study. Has there been one character that I've talked about, whether it be Paul, Jesus, Nehemiah, Joseph, now Moses, Ruth, any of the other characters that we have covered? Has there been any one of them where I ever said, now God took this person and did everything he could to make them happy? Have I ever said that? Spoiler alert, no, I have never said that. Why? Because it never happened. Just like God doesn't lose any sleep over being fair, God doesn't lose any sleep over whether or not we're happy with what's going on. And again, I know that sounds harsh. And I don't mean for it to. But what we got to understand is there's a lot of people floating around out there who are not a part of the church, who aren't a part of the church because God failed to make them happy. And they have, tried to come here thinking God would, just start raining down joy and rapture upon them. And that just doesn't happen. And here is the danger. The danger is, and I made a note on this sentence I just read. If we do, okay, that's a big if we do begin to think that God's goal for our life is our own happiness, if that's the direction we start to lean and thinking, oh, God just likes making me happy. Here's my question. Do you see, you can give me a yes or no on this one. Do you see how seeing God as wanting to do nothing but make you happy, do you see how that could open you up to Satan lying to you? Now, I already had a nice long conversation with you about how fleeting and dangerous emotion can be. It's wonderful if it's used appropriately. But do you see, if you're making an emotional feeling be the purpose of God's purpose in your life, and the only reason that you have God in your life is so I can experience this particular emotion that I happen to like, which is happiness, do you see how that could open you up to Satan's lies? How that just opens the door and basically is like, hey, Satan, I'm right here. Will you please come lie to me? I mean, do you see how that can happen? Because that's what can go on. Is if we, yes, Eric, and I have used that analogy many times. It makes God look like a genie, and he ain't that. He ain't Robin Williams. He ain't Will Smith. That is not how it works. Because understand in the genie analogy, and you again, Eric, you're dead on that one. In the genie analogy, what title does genie call Aladdin? The word is master. God don't use that word for nobody. Period. Why? Because we spell God's name with a capital G. And when you get your name spelled with a capital G, you don't call nobody else master. Ever. For any reason. And that's why we need to be careful. When we get this idea that God is a genie, just like Eric said, when we start to function that way, and suddenly it doesn't resonate with us like that, or we become displeased. I mean, look, how many services today? How many, whether it be online services? I mean, you go out to eat. What are they always asking you for? Well, fill out the survey. Tell us how we're doing. Let us know. Why? Because they're very concerned that you're happy. Because if you're not happy, you're not spending money. So they want to give you every chance to express any pleasure or displeasure that you have. Ever got a survey from God? Ever got a performance evaluation on God? You're not going to. Because God ain't concerned about those things. And again, I know that sounds cold and harsh compared to how we normally think about it. I know. But the danger is if we start thinking that's how it works, and it's like, God, the weather was kind of nice today, but it was a little on the shady side, and I didn't really feel well today. I wasn't happy with what I had for lunch, and I had absolutely zero frosted animal cracker blizzards today, and I got this sore on my leg, and God, I'm gonna have to give you a 6 out of 10 today, just a 6. This is the best I can do, right? That's right, Trina. God don't need a survey because God is not concerned with your opinion of his performance because God is perfect. We're the ones who aren't. Meaning, if we're looking at things and not seeing perfection, we're looking through a distorted lens. And yes, friends, there are times when we're not happy. There are lots of times when we're not happy. There are times when we're not happy when we should be happy. And I mean, look, you guys have all been there. There are times in life when things seem to be going pretty well, and you're kind of excited about what you see happening, and everything seems to be going hunky-dory, and you're still like, this is nice, but I ain't feeling it. You've all been there. Look, you could have your emotion ruined by a stomach ache that has nothing to do with what's going on. And we've all been there. Yes, Tina and Mike. In the moment, in that fleeting moment, sin will make you happier than anything else. Unfortunately, it doesn't last long. Blessing lasts. Happiness does not. And yes, Trina, Trina's dropped a big truth bomb there in the chat tonight saying we can all be whiners at time. I will give an amen to that statement. You ought to try opening up a church after a quarantine. You will meet lots of whiners and belly achers and dissension and all kind of joy and rapture in that. So, all right, very good. Now, one of the lies that we could fall into real easily if we start, doing the God is genie bit and making God work to earn our approval because God's real worried about that. One of the things that we fall into with that trap is I'm still on page 165. I'm in the paragraph. There's a couple of sentences here I want to point out. Actually, there's two. I'm in this, the second paragraph after the pursuit of happiness that starts with this seemingly slight misunderstanding radically reverses our role with God's role. Okay. Hear this next sentence. If we believe that God wants us happy above all else, rather than acknowledging that our role is to serve God, we wrongly believe that God exists to serve us. You want to talk about a mindset that will lead to massive unhappiness? There you go. I defy you to think of a worse idea than this one. I made a note on this sentence, and my note was, this is the biggest lie ever told, but boy, is it told a lot. Boy, is it told a lot. See, this is, and I've tried to express that actually a couple of times in this study. It came up during the introduction. I believe it also came up to the chapter on prayer. My fear is that we have confused prayer with social media. Okay? I'm afraid that we think prayer is like Twitter or prayer is like Instagram or Facebook or whatever the heck it is we're using now. In that if I put out a prayer request out there and I get 500 likes, I get 50 likes, I get whatever tweets, retweet, whatever the word is, I don't know. God, you have to do it. 50 people agree with me. I mean, 50 people have said okay, and that they'll give me the old thumbs up. So now, God, you're morally obligated to do whatever it was I put as my status that everybody liked. Friends, that's how Instagram works. That's how Facebook works. That's how Twitter works. That ain't how prayer works. Prayer is not a social media. It doesn't function like social media. That may be my most profound statement of the whole night. Don't confuse prayer with social media. For God's sake, please. For the sake of what little sanity that your crazy pastor has left, don't confuse the two. It doesn't work that way. Cheryl says there's a difference between God does not want to harm us and he wants to make us happy. There's a difference between God does not want to harm us and he wants to make us happy. Is that a question? Because I think I agree, if I understand what you're saying. I think God not harming us and God making us happy, those things at times can be mutually exclusive. If I want something that's not going to be good for me, like I'm praying for God to give me a frosted animal cracker blizzard made in a 5-gallon bucket, that's probably not going to be good for me. Even though I think it might make me happy, it won't. So if I'm praying for something like that, now obviously that's a stupid example, but if I'm praying for something like that and God says, I don't think Tim needs 8 million calories, so I think we're going to pass on that one. That might not make me happy, but it's definitely also not going to harm me. So, and that's how we can get confused on that sometimes. However, let me draw this out to its logical conclusion. I could, turn my phone on right now, which my phone is off. So if you guys want to text me, I'm not going to get it. But I could get on Instagram right now and put as my status, if I can get 25 likes on the status, then I'm going to go to Dairy Queen and buy the biggest frosted animal cracker blizzard they have, and I'm going to eat the whole thing. And God has to let me because I got 25 likes on this. And again, God's like, Tim, no. That's not what I want for you. I want something better for you. I want you to go to bed and sleep tonight rather than be up all night with your stomach feeling like you're about to spit out a fireball. I'd much rather have that. I'd much rather you wake up in the morning without a headache. I'd much rather you go out and run in the morning rather than trying to throw up in the morning. I'd much rather have that. And let's be honest, I would rather that too. But we can get real confused about what's going on, and that's what it is. And that's why happiness is such a dangerous scale on which to evaluate God. If I'm not happy, then God is failing. Would you say the same thing of parents? If your kids aren't happy, are you parents failing? You're welcome, Tina and Mike. You know me. I'm there for you. Would you like for your evaluation and your rating as a parent to be determined by your child's happiness? I know you wouldn't. I'm not even going to wait for you to answer. I'm not a parent, but I already know that none of you, not one of you of the 30 people logged in here right now, would want your performance evaluation by your children's happiness to reflect your performance as a parent. And I'm going to tell you right now, if it does, you're doing it wrong. If you're willing to take advice from a non-parent, if that's the way you're going to go, you are doing it wrong, all the way wrong. Because making your children happy, that doesn't even rank on the priority scale at all. It doesn't even lead that high. Cheryl says, I can guarantee a child that people try to make happy all the time is not healthy. And I would also take that a step farther and say they ain't happy either. I'll tell you what happens to those kids. They end up having riots and protests where they burn cop cars and burn down businesses with no demands. They're burning down things saying, we want change, when everybody's going, we agree with you. That's what those kids end up being. That's true, Trin. When they're adults, they're responsible for themselves. That's absolutely true. But they still might not be happy with you at times. Except for my parents. I'm always happy with them. But, most people, right? And but you guys get the idea here. Is happiness. All these businesses that we frequent, restaurants and department stores and online services and all this stuff, has really given us the idea that we are the center of the world. No, we're just a consumer. And the only reason they care about our happiness is unhappy people don't spend money. That's it. And that's so that's why we think that, we're unhappy. So I'm gonna be a Karen and I'm gonna talk to a manager and get this straightened out. I'm sorry, Karen memes crack me up. Forgive me for that. There's my vice. Karen memes I think are hilarious. So, all right. My favorite saying of how I raise my kids and grandkids: you'll hate me now, but love me later. But yes, but even if I don't love you later, it don't matter. You're not winning a popularity contest being a parent, and y'all already know that. So, and one of the dangerous things that we get about this, and again, this is the consumerist mentality that we all have, is later in that same paragraph I was just reading in that says, if we give enough money or pray the right prayer or live the right way, God must deliver what we do and ask. The operative word in there is must. And I think this is accurate, because I think people, through their behavior and through, whatever, feel like they can manipulate God. If I'm a good enough person, God has got to do what I say. And if he don't, man, I'm gonna call and talk to God's manager. Now, who that is, I have no idea. But that's not how it works. You want to be careful when you're dealing with the word must with God, because that can get you in trouble. Because the reason you're in trouble is if God is taking orders from somebody, then by definition, that's not God. Because God don't take orders from nobody, period. I mean, that's not even negotiable. So if we think we can manipulate God through our actions or our faith or our number of likes on our prayer or whatever, you are literally asking for problems. Seems I had something else I wanted to say about that, but I don't remember what it was. Okay. All right, I'm going over now. I think, I'm still on the same page. 165. I'm looking now at the sentence, virtually every message in our society. That's this paragraph I'm in. Listen to this sentence. Virtually every message our society sends reinforces our desire for a life of bliss. And the note that I made on this sentence was, and I've said this before, so many of you have already heard this. Whenever you're listening to the radio or watching TV, or you're on YouTube and they've got all those annoying commercials on there, as you're listening to those commercials and what's going on, I challenge you to count how many times you hear the word deserve. You deserve our product, so send us $49.95 and we'll send you all we can, right? The word deserve, man, that is one of the look out here. Oh, what am I doing? What's happening here? The word deserve is one of the most dangerous words, because once you start deserve brings with it a sense of entitlement, and entitlement is always bad, especially when dealing with God. Because let's be honest, you already got more than you deserve from God, and to think that you deserve more, that'll get you another thing coming. God deals in grace and mercy. Simple definitions of grace and mercy. Grace is receiving something good that you don't deserve. Mercy is not receiving something bad that you do deserve. Okay? That's what you get from God. But God determines what those things are. And that's why we need to watch out for those. Because if you think you deserve more than grace, think about what that means, and that can get to be real tough. So, as much as our culture wants to push this idea of deserving and entitlement and all this buzzwords and weird stuff on us, as much as our culture wants to push that stuff, don't buy into it, because it is destructive and it is dangerous. Yep, Trina, couldn't agree more. I don't have enough fingers and toes to count that. The word deserve, that's right. God knows the outcome and knows what we need, Eric. His plan is the right plan for us. He knows us in and out. I would contend even better than we know ourselves. I know that's what you're saying. And because he knows us so well, again, the same way y'all know your kids. You know them so well. You know what's good with them. You know what they can handle. I mean, there are some kids at 7 years old could practically move out on their own. There's other kids at 25 years old that still can't move out on their own. It just, everybody's different. But when you know them through and through like that, like God knows us, you're going to know what's good for them and what's not. And let's not pretend like it's the same for everybody, because that's just dumb. It's not. So, Teresa says, God desires our love and praise. Some people forget that when they don't get what they want. I would contend, Teresa, I would actually take that a step further and say some people never knew that in the first place. They want God to be the genie. Like Eric said earlier. They want God to act as genie and just grant wishes, and then just kind of stay over there when I don't need something. And that's not a relationship. That is a what is that? It's like almost like a contract, like you'd sign at work. I mean, look, your job, you've contracted to perform certain activities, to take care of certain things. That's why you have the job. I'm pretty sure that your employer doesn't care about the vast majority of the stuff that you do, which is why I was glad that Craig used the example of the two girls at the opening of this chapter, is because sometimes, we can get confused over what that means, or we can draw that line, too far about what we expect from people, what to be and what they need to do. But, it's very interesting. He says in here that he typed the word happy on Amazon.com and he found 10,635 books with the word happy in the title. I would contend that I didn't try it tonight, but I would contend that number is probably way bigger today. Because happiness is such a fleeting thing, and it seems to be a thing everybody's looking for, but nobody's finding it. Weird how that works, isn't it? I feel almost like they're chasing the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Now, this is a message that has found its way into the church. Some popular televangelists who will remain unnamed have really pushed this idea in the past years. And it's nothing new. It's called the prosperity gospel. And it absolutely, positively is not scriptural. It doesn't work this way. But one of the things they say is that God wants you to be happy, enjoy your life. You deserve more, bigger, better, and faster. That's a popular message, and it sells. I mean, literally, it sells. And people like to hear that, messages like, God helps those who helps themselves, which is not a scripture, and all that kind of stuff. That's what people like to hear. They like to hear that there's a possibility of advancement out there for, whatever's going on. And, there may be, but better than advancement, better than happiness, there's also opportunity for blessing out there. And I think that's what we should be looking at, because blessing can come in many seasons of life. But you want to be real careful about that. I even made a note on that sentence about God wants you to be happy and enjoy your life. You deserve more, bigger, better, and faster. I put a note on there saying, have you heard that at Wayne Street for the past 2 years? And I won't even let you answer. I know that you haven't, because you have never heard that from me. In fact, I probably tend toward the other way. God would rather see you grow, and you only grow through adversity. So, all right, let's go on to page 166. I'm in the paragraph that starts with, pursuing happiness seems like the right thing to do. I'm in that paragraph. I'm in the sentence right in the middle of that paragraph. I want you to explain this sentence to me. So get ready to jump in the comments here. The problem is, what seems right might not always be right. Anybody want to take a crack at unpacking that sentence? What seems right may not always be right. Scott, I have not seen the Miracle Water commercial. Teresa says she has a friend who's all about the prosperity belief. I try not to say too much because I don't go for the name it, claim it religion. Yes. Because who is at the center of the name it, claim it is the person doing the naming, and that's you. And unless you want to worship yourself, I would tell you to stay away from that one. So, somebody explain this sentence to me. The problem is, what seems right might not always be right. Somebody take a crack at interpreting that. Flesh that out for me. What does it mean that what seems right may not always be right? The easy path is not necessarily the right path. Yes, it clearly means that. I'm definitely on board with that. In fact, I almost say the opposite is what may be true, is the easy path is normally probably not the right path. What seems right might not always be right. Cheryl's the only one going to try that one? What does it mean that what seems right may not always be right? Nobody wants to chime in on that one? We have a very limited perspective, Eric. That's true. In fact, we're about to read an example of that very limited perspective here in just a second. Something sounds too good to be true. It probably isn't. That's good advice for many areas in life. How we perceive things are not always as God does. We lack his wisdom. I think you and Eric are on the same page there, Tina and Mike. Val says, we are told what we want to hear, but not based on facts. I think that's true. Maybe not told. I think maybe we hear what we want to hear. We're not always listening. I think, Val, and I think that's what you meant. That can get to be dangerous. Sherry quotes, oh gosh, I forgot the author's name. Help me out, Sherry. Who wrote that one? His name is out of my head right now. It was a Longfellow, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Two paths diverged in the woods, and I took the path less trodden. I think that's who it was. Dave says, what seems right is often a short-term perspective. Yes, or very limited, and that's very true. Things are not always as they appear, actually, especially if we don't take time to investigate them or pray about them or seek advice and guidance. that could definitely happen. What seems right could be earthly things. The right path is spiritual. Sometimes, yeah, we only look at the immediate, the here and now. We don't think long term, and that could be Robert Frost. That's it. That's the one I was trying to come up with. Sue says sometimes we only see the immediate and not the big long term picture. That's right. We think of life being a sprint when it's more of a marathon. So, yep, the road not taken. Yes, Robert Frost. I could not think of his name. So, all right, very good. All right, then Craig goes on to. Oh, not that. Craig goes on to talk about a woman that he ran into, and she met this guy in a co-ed softball league. He seemed great, everything, and she kept, little by little over time, she compromised herself. She knew it wasn't the right thing to do because he was not a Christian person. She dated him anyways. He wouldn't talk about marriage, but she moved in with him, and because she thought it'd make him happy. That she had sex with him. She knew she shouldn't be doing that, but it seemed to make him happy and made her feel loved, so she did it anyways. She got pregnant. Seemed right that they should get married and birth a new child. Seemed right to trade in for the SUV. Moved into a bigger home. All that was seeming like it was right. And all of a sudden, Mitch said he'd never loved her and he walked out. And that's hard. And see if she would have made a different decision back earlier in the process, like back when she was playing softball in her softball playing days. That might have been a bummer, but she'd have gotten over it. But little by little, you compromise yourself, and suddenly you end up in a place where nobody was happy. I'm sure even before he decided he didn't love her and he wanted to leave, even before then, I doubt there was a lot of happiness going on. There probably wasn't a lot of communication. There wasn't a lot of connection. Everything that seemed great at first, I'm sure, was not happening now. And it just was a difficult thing. Friends, this is what happens. She decided what she wanted in life instead of allowing God to lead her to what he knew she wanted. And that can be a dangerous thing because sometimes these are mirages in the desert. And Cheryl, amen. There's no truth bomb in the comments for you. The longer you live the lie, the harder it is to turn back. That is truth happening right there. And that's why, Rachel and what was his name? Mitch. What was his name? Mitch lived a lie a long time, and she lived it probably more thoroughly than he did, and eventually it blew up in your face, as lies always do. Well, actually, Val, I would take that a step further. Not only did they not have God in the relationship, but the relationship was not something God wanted for either of them. But sometimes when you decide this is going to happen and you won't take no for an answer, and you're going to fight for this no matter what, and all this, people get hurt in that. Tina and Mike say sometimes we think we know better than God. Okay, not sometimes, most times, and that's probably true. And every time we think we know more than God, we always relearn the lesson that we don't. And I'm so sorry for Rachel, and I'm so sorry for Mitch, and I'm really sorry for their child. But that's what they found out. That they didn't allow God the chance to do what God wanted to do. They did what they wanted to do, and that's how these things turn out. Now, it's not easy. Look, I'm not telling you it's easy. In fact, I'm telling you it's not easy. But that's what can happen. Okay. All right. So after he talks about Mitch and Rachel, he goes into this section here called "Happiness is not the point." I marked the very first sentence there that says God does not want us to be happy, which seems like a kind of a harsh statement, but it goes right along with the statement I made a few weeks ago or a few days ago or whatever it was when I was talking about how God doesn't lose sleep over being fair. That's just not a concern of God's. Fairness is not something he worries about. And happiness, I think, goes right up there with it, even though we think it should. And, and some of you have alluded to this in the comments here. If you switch over here to page 167, he says, sometimes what we think will make us happy is the opposite of what God wants for us. And look, when God has a desire for us and we get distracted on something we think is going to make us happy, and God now has to choose between these two things, what do you think he's going to give us? He's going to give us the thing that he wants us to have. He's not going to, now we can force our way into this other situation, but let me tell you something. That's not ideal. That's not ideal. God is not fair, he says. God is not fair and doesn't always say yes to our prayers. How many of you have seen them? That is a tough sentence to read and accept. It certainly is, Tina and Mike. That's true. How many of you have seen the movie Bruce Almighty? Bruce Almighty was a movie I saw a number of years ago. It stars Jim Carrey, and God comes down. God, played by Morgan Freeman, who, let's be honest, God probably sounds like Morgan Freeman. Came down and gave Bruce all of his powers over the city of Buffalo because Bruce thought he could do better. So God gave him the powers. And at one point he was trying to answer prayers and it was taking too long, and it was just this thing kept piling up, and everything was fantastic. It just was too many things. So finally, Bruce said, "Fine. Everybody gets what they want. Yes to every prayer." You guys remember that movie, that part when he put down that everybody's prayer gets answered and the entire movie or the entire city just crumbles? Like 4,000 people won the lottery, and the Red Wings won or Buffalo, the Sabres won the hockey cup, or the Stanley Cup, and everybody was rich and everybody was famous and everybody was miserable. The whole city of Buffalo was just coming apart, and that was kind of the lesson. And I can remember when Bruce came back and said, "Why is everyone?" He's now talking to Morgan Freeman, who's God. He goes, "Now, why is everybody so miserable? I gave them everything they wanted." And Morgan Freeman, as God said, "What do people really know about what they want?" And I know that was kind of a line, and Jim Carrey kind of glosses over it, but it's a pretty good question. What do we really know about what we want? God went through and said yes to everybody's prayer. So that night, I still remember everybody won the lottery. Everybody, like half the city, won the lottery that night. And that means because so many people won the lottery, everybody got $7. So everybody was mad they won the lottery and they thought they had something. They ended up with $7 because so many people won. Everybody, it was just abject misery because nobody was getting told no. And it just destroyed the city. The whole city just came apart until Morgan Freeman was like, I probably ought to put the kibosh on this. But it's an interesting thing. And I thought a great illustration. In fact, if you want to have a great, very subtle lesson on prayer, that's a good movie to watch. Now, yeah, there's some questionable stuff in it, but it's a good movie to watch about how he reacts around people and things that are going on. There's one scene when he's stuck in a traffic jam and he's freaking out. He's like, "How could this possibly happen to me?" And outside the window, they're carrying a guy on a stretcher. And he's mad because he's in a traffic jam. It's great, very subtle things, but very well done. And it's great. I know, friends, I'm running out of time. I got one more thing I want to get to. Because I marked this and I want to make sure I said something. So give me 2 minutes. I'm on page 167. There's a paragraph there that starts with, "First, God doesn't want us to be happy when it causes us to do something wrong or unwise." And very good, Cheryl. That's right. You do have to be in the rain to appreciate the sun. I want you to think about this next sentence. Think about this, and this will be what we're going to end with. In God's plan, the ends never justify the means. I thought that was very profound because as I read the scriptures, God never compromised the end to get us there easier. We're going to find out in the Moses thing, in the Moses sermon series, he made the Israelites walk around 40 years because he wasn't going to do it the easy way. And that's that's a very a good lesson for us about how God doesn't take shortcuts. He doesn't cut corners. He doesn't do any of those things. He always understands the journey is equally, if not more important than the destination. Even if the journey is a windy one, takes a lot of detours and gets lost. But that's kind of where God's at with it, which I think is an interesting perspective. All right. That's where we're going to stop. He tells a story about his daughter on the zip line. You can read that if you want. It's a fun story, but I think you get the idea. So we're going to end on page 168. Tomorrow we're going to start with wrong beliefs don't make life right. Wrong beliefs don't make life right, and that's true. So that's where we'll pick up tomorrow. Page 168. So, all right, everybody. Anybody else got anything here for the good of the order tonight? Anything you want to throw in here before I sign off? Appreciate you giving me an extra minute or two here. Yeah. God doesn't ever give up the journey for the goal. So, yes, Tina and Mike, we absolutely live in a society of instant gratification. And that's why people struggle with faith, because it doesn't always pay off immediately. And that's something people get a little upset about. So, all right, very good. Well, I guess we are going to take 2 nights with this chapter, apparently, because I couldn't stay focused. So we'll be back together here tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, to finish this. And appreciate you all logging on and being a part of this conversation with me. Again, I love having you guys here. And appreciate you guys spending your evenings with me. Yeah, sweet dreams, everyone. I agree, Linda. Yes, Amy. Yep. Drop a thumbs up on this video if you could, please. Thank you, Joyce. Hey, Cheryl. Jack and Cheryl, glad you guys are here. Jack, thank you for your help today in the church, hanging the pictures and stuff. I hope you and Dave had a good time doing that. So you're welcome, Miriam. All right, everybody. Well, I hope you all have a great night. Appreciate you coming to spend your evening with me. Like I always say, you honor me with your presence. Love you all very much, and appreciate the discussion. Now, y'all go wash them hands.